Portia, I know that after you leave us next week, you're heading to Austin, Texas for the South by South Conference and Festival that begins on March the 11th. And the film will be screened during the festival, and you'll be participating in a panel discussion next week. So I want to congratulate you on that, first of all. And also Tomorrow's Hope, as Portia has been saying, is about community on the South Side, and it's about relationships, okay? So Portia, my question to you is, how did this film project come about, and what is the role, what is your role in the story?
Well, my role in the story is that I was the, quote, executive leader who's responsible for the implementation of the programs and services within the Ouncer Prevention Fund. So I was a VP, directors reported to me, and the director of our early education component and our programs reported to me at that time. So we were on the South Side doing what we're dedicated and passionate about, which is using the best that science offers in education, those theories, those practices, those interventions, and apply them at the community-based level. It's one thing to do something in a clinical setting, or it's another thing to do it in real life with real children and real families. And we studied the research. We knew at that time what was the top research for children in early childhood, and we trained and supported our teachers to deliver those interventions in the context of a relationship of mutual respect and understanding. So anyway, that was my role, and we were doing our thing at Grand Boulevard at Educare, and we were looking to the right or looking to the left. We were pretty tied up trying to get this done and be successful at it. And two partners, the Buffett Early Childhood Fund, came and observed our work, and the Zantz Foundation representative came and observed our work and what we were doing and looked at the fruits of our labor, because we were not dumbing down expectations. We were shooting for our children can be as good as any child in learning from any place, anywhere in America. We were shooting for that. We weren't dumbing down and say, well, poor child. No, we going for what the research says is excellence and demonstrated outcomes with children. And we mind our own business. And they came to see us one day and said, oh, it looked like you're doing good work, the Zantz Foundation. Ooh, we just really like that work. And then they went away, and we said, thank you very much. And then we worked with the Buffett Early Childhood Fund for a while to build some more schools like Educare, high quality educational centers for children birth to 5 in communities that are, quote, marginalized. And then Zantz came back to us and said, you know what? We want to make a movie about what you've done. And we were like, really? Really? Well, okay, well, whatever. You thumbs up. Let us know how that comes out. What do you need from us? But really, you know what? And we can't talk about this. I'm going to do my own podcast one day, because what happened with this group of families in Grand Boulevard needs to be written about. We need to have more than one movie about it. Right. What I'm grateful to the foundation for, the Zantz Foundation, is they told a story that would have been washed away about the struggle of children and families in a particular community in Chicago, in Illinois, in America, and they humanized it. Yeah. We see all these negative statistics about certain people and their children. They took this, our struggle, and they humanized it. They gave it a face. And it shows that when you invest in children in the way, and their families, in the way that we did and the way others have done and are doing now. I don't want to take anything away from the fellow early childhood providers that are out there doing some of the same work. When you do that investment pays off for a lifetime.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Well, it got a movie made about you, and that says a lot.
Yes.
Well, as part of humanizing the story, part of the film, they actually talk about how the school was in the Robert Taylor Homes buildings in the projects. But then Chicago had its own sort of plan for transformation where they went in and they tore every building down with the plan to rehouse and rebuild, which they did not. Can you talk about what that process was like for you and what people should really know about that?
Well, I'm going to say this, and I know this is being recorded, but I'm going to relate it to what we're experiencing today. It was a mini pandemic. It wasn't about a disease, and I'm not diminishing what we've all been through with the recent pandemic. But there was a pandemic of neglect, violence, lack of resources, gang activity, drug activity in a community of families. And it not only impacted the children and the families, but it had an impact on the staff. We experienced this neglect and this pandemic of neglect together. The families took the big volley because they had to live there 24 hours a day. And imagine for children and families that had lived there, a big, huge convoy of machines, big machines, parked on your street. Now, it's only, 8 square blocks, not even 8 square blocks. And they show up, and I know that they had meetings with the tenants and told them that they would be tearing it down. But imagine every day, if you were a child or a parent, what kind of message does that give to you about your value in this society? If 5 bulldozers are marching down the street, tearing down what used to be people's homes. They may have been poor, and it may be a poor community, but this was their home. Marching down. Imagine children and families seeing that every day, looking to their left, here it comes. And every day buildings disappear, and your building is next. It's coming for you. Wow. Imagine living under that psychological pressure alone. What kind of messages were the children and families receiving when you have to see that every day? And that's what, for years, 3-4 years, by the time they tore all the buildings, that's what the families and the children had to go through, in addition to the relocation process. And it stemmed and brought about a gang war over territory, and still the children and the families rose. Relationships matter, but I also want people to notice, if they get a chance to see the movie, that in spite of the drug violence, in spite of everything, bulldozers, 3 of them, 4 of them, moving down the block. In spite of all of that, I want you to notice the relationships that were formed during that time. And most of all, I want you to notice the resilience of the children and families. I want you to notice their capacity to succeed and continue their lives and lift up the lives of their children in the face of adversity.